I was horrified when my wife told me that my 6-year-old son wasn't actually mine. Apparently, I need to pay more attention during school pickup. The chief executive officer of a large corporation was in a meeting with the board of directors. He presented his plan, although he knew that several of the board would disagree. "All in favor say aye," said the chief executive officer. "All opposed say I resign." Two soldiers were chatting during their free time. First soldier, "Why did you join the army?" Second soldier, "I didn't have a wife and I loved war, so I joined. How about you? Why did you join the army?" First soldier, "I had a wife and I loved peace, so I joined." A couple have been dating for a few weeks, but the guy has been afraid of making advances because he thinks his private organ is on the small side. Finally, he gets up his courage and takes her down Lover's Lane. While they're kissing, he opens his trouser zip and guides her hand onto his organ. The girl says, "No thanks, I don't smoke." A woman was at her hairdresser's getting her hair styled for a trip to Rome with her husband. She mentioned the trip to the hairdresser, who responded, "Rome? Why would anyone want to go there? It's crowded and dirty. You're crazy to go to Rome. So, how are you getting there?" "We're taking Continental," was the reply. "We got a great rate." "Continental," exclaimed the hairdresser. "That's a terrible airline. Their planes are old, their flight attendants are ugly, and they're always late. So, where are you staying in Rome?" "We'll be at this exclusive little place over on Rome's Tiber River called Teste." "Don't go any further. I know that place. Everybody thinks it's going to be something special and exclusive, but it's really a dump. We're going to go to see the Vatican and maybe get to see the Pope." "That's rich," laughed the hairdresser. "You and a million other people trying to see him. He'll look the size of an ant. Boy, good luck on this lousy trip of yours. You're going to need it." A month later, the woman came in for a hairdo. The hairdresser asked her about her trip to Rome. "It was wonderful," explained the woman. "Not only were we on time in one of Continental's brand new planes, but it was overbooked, and they bumped us up to first class. The food and wine were wonderful, and I had a handsome 28-year-old steward who waited on us hand and foot. And the hotel was great. They just finished a $5 million remodeling job, and now it's a jewel, the finest hotel in the city. They too were overbooked, so they apologized and gave us the owner's suite at no extra charge." "Well," muttered the hairdresser, "that's all well and good, but I know you didn't get to see the Pope." "Actually, we were quite lucky, because as we toured the Vatican, a Swiss guard tapped me on the shoulder and explained that the Pope likes to meet some of the visitors, and if we'd be so kind as to step into his private room and wait, the Pope would personally greet us." Sure enough, 5 minutes later, the Pope walked through the door and shook my hand. I knelt down, and he spoke a few words to me. "Oh, really?" "What'd he say?" "He said, 'Who fucked up your hair?'" So, an old Canadian gentleman of 83 years old arrived in Paris. By plane. At the French customs desk, the man took a few minutes to locate his passport in his carry-on bag. "You have been to France before, monsieur?" the customs officer asked sarcastically. The elderly gentleman admitted he had been to France previously. "Then you should know enough to have your passport ready." The Canadian said, "The last time I was here, I didn't have to show it." "Impossible. Canadians always have to show your passports on arrival in France." The Canadian senior gave the Frenchman a long, hard look. Then he quietly explained, "Well, when I came ashore at Juno Beach on D-Day in 1944 to help liberate this country, I couldn't find a single Frenchman to show it to." A shipwreck survivor washes up on an island beach and is immediately surrounded by a group of native warriors. "I'm done for," the man cries in despair. "No, you are not," comes a booming voice from the heavens. "Listen carefully, and do exactly as I say. Grab the spear from the one who is beside you and shove it through the heart of the chief." The man does so, and the remainder of the tribe stares in disbelief. "Now what?" the man asks the heavens. The voice replied, "Now you are done for." Why women need a husband. A woman goes to a psychiatrist and complains, "I don't want to marry. I am educated, independent, and self-sufficient. I don't need a husband. But my parents are asking me to marry. What do I do?" The psychiatrist replied, "You undoubtedly will achieve great things in life, but some things inevitably will not go the way you want. Some things will go wrong. Sometimes you will fail. Sometimes your plans won't work. Sometimes your wishes will not be fulfilled. Then who will you blame? Will you blame yourself?" Woman, no. Psychiatrist, yes, that's why you need a husband. There was an engineer who had an exceptional gift for fixing all things mechanical. After serving his company loyally for over 30 years, he happily retired. Many years later, the company contacted him regarding a seemingly impossible problem they were having with one of their multi-million-dollar machines. They had tried everything and everyone else to get the machine to work, but to no avail. In desperation, they called on the retired engineer who had solved so many of their problems in the past. The engineer reluctantly took the challenge. He spent a day studying the huge machine. At the end of the day, he marked a small X in chalk on a particular component of the machine and stated, "This is where your problem is." The part was replaced and the machine worked perfectly again. The company received a bill for $50,000 from the engineer for his service. They demanded an itemized accounting of his charges. The engineer responded briefly, 1 chalk mark 1, knowing where to put it, 49,999. This guy is dining alone in a fancy restaurant, and there's a beautiful redhead sitting at the next table. He's been sneakily checking her out ever since he arrived, but doesn't have the courage to start talking to her. Suddenly she sneezes, and her glass eye comes flying out of its socket toward the man. His reflexes kick in, and he reaches out, plucks it out of the air, and hands it back to her. The redhead is mortified. "Oh my, I am so sorry," she says as she pops her eye back into place. "Let me buy your dinner to make it up to you." So he joins her table, and they enjoy a wonderful meal together. Afterwards, they go to the theater, followed by drinks at a bar. They talk, they laugh, she shares her deepest dreams, and he shares his. She listens. After paying for everything, she asks him if he would like to come to her place for a nightcap. He says yes, and they return to her place. He ends up staying the night. The next morning, she cooks a gourmet meal with all the trimmings. The guy is amazed at how everything has been so perfect and how incredible this woman is. He can't believe his luck. "You know," he said, "you are the perfect woman. Are you this nice to every guy you meet?" "No," she replies, "you just happen to catch my eye."